Just after midnight, a quiet block on Milwaukee's east side erupted in a gunfire. Bullets tore through ligaments, tore through signs, windshields. Neighbors dove for cover. This footage captures that very moment a routine night became a nightmare. Tonight, we go beyond the clip. Tonight, we will trace what happened, who was affected, how the police responded, and what this means for the neighborhood. Already, that's on edge. I'll walk y'all through the verified facts, the eyewitness accounts, forensic clues visible in the video, and the human cost that follows. If you have footage or information, hold on to the original file, contact investigators. We will begin a scene itself with raw footage that started this conversation. The shots rang out just after midnight. The location is the 1000 block of East Pearson Street, right near the heart of the east side. Active corridor from the footage. You feel me? We could confirm multiple rounds struck private property, vehicles was hit, all types of things was taking place on this video. And we even got to go so far to say that at the end of the day, a lot of people ain't feeling this situation. They're not feeling this scene at all. You understand what I'm saying? Because you got people who stayed in this area 10 years plus. They stayed in this area 15 years plus. And at the end of the day, they are wondering, they are shocked. They are, God damn it, they want answers. So as we watch this video, you can see these vehicles get hit. At least 4 houses show visible impact points. Officers arrived on the scene and secured the block while detectives began canvassing for the witnesses. What you are seeing now are the original frames from a surveillance camera positioned on the north side of the street. Note the timestamp, you feel me, in the lower right corner back there. And if you was paying attention, note the timestamp on the video, right? Look down here. You see the timestamp. It's wild. At the end of the day, I feel like the angle of the camera, those 2 details are crucial for investigation, trying to, reconstruct trajectories. And if they're trying to reconstruct the shooter position. So neighbors described a sudden sustained volley, not isolated pops, but a rapid sequence of rounds. People ran in the basements, in the hallways, into the nearest interior rooms. One resident told me that they thought the roof was collapsing. Now that right there, it gotta be some terrifying stuff, right? They gotta be terrifying, because if you witnessing shots in your neighborhood and shots are so, severe that you think your roof is collapsing, that means they were vicious, right? Another said their child woke up screaming. These are the immediate human reactions that footage alone cannot fully convey, right? The video shows motion, but the videos and the voices in the videos and the fear are what this community story. You feel me? From a practical standpoint, investigators first secure the scene, then collect physical evidence, shell casings, bullet fragments, and any surveillance files from nearby cameras. Detectives asked for the original files, and at the end of the day, I don't know if anybody came forward with those original files yet. I got the video in slow motion also, so you guys can get a better understanding how everything took place and why it took place, and so y'all can understand the positioning, that these young gentlemen were in at the time of this happening. And the reason I say it's so dangerous and yet it gets so brutal is because if this is happening on a daily, on a continuation, of time cycles throughout this neighborhood, then how safe really is this neighborhood, right? So detectives asked for the files because compressed social uploads often strip timestamps and reduce image quality. If you have footage preserved, the original file, and then note the exact time it was recorded, that single piece of data can be the difference between a lead and a dead end. At this stage, police have not released suspect names. That is standard while evidence is processed. What we can say with confidence is this multiple rounds were fired Private property was struck and the community is shaken. Over the next minutes, we will hear from neighbors examining the forensic clues visible in the footage and place the incident in the broader context of neighborhood safety and response.
Unbelievable video tonight of multiple shooters opening fire in an east side Milwaukee neighborhood. Police say no one was injured, but the gunfire hit multiple houses and cars. This is the damage left behind. It happened near Astor and Pearson just after midnight. 12 News' Kendall Keys joining us there live tonight. And Kendall, terrifying moments for people who live nearby.
You're right, Blake. You heard all of those shots fired in the middle of the night. Some of those bullets even entering people's homes while they slept inside. Countless gunshots.
It's crazy.
Fired in an east side neighborhood just after midnight early Monday.
Wild, wild west.
Home surveillance video shows a group hide behind a parked car as shots continue to ring out.
Holy crap, people just hanging out in the garages and side spaces. It's pretty spooky.
I looked at my phone. I noticed there was a group of kids in my driveway next to one of our cars and thought they were breaking in. You don't expect a group of people using your house as cover for an ambush.
The homeowner speaking with 12 News, not wanting to be identified out of fear of retaliation. His video shows one person open fire from the sidewalk. Another shooter continues firing, walking backwards on Pearson.
When I went to check the car and bring it in after I heard people scramble on the side of the house, I noticed that there was a bunch of gun bullets in my driveway, gun magazine, a bunch of other stuff.
The bullets hit multiple cars parked on Pearson, shattering windows, even back windshields. Evidence markers pointing to bullet holes in glass and on the sides of homes. 12 News counting at least 4 homes hit by the gunfire.
I've been over here for 10 years and I've never seen anything like this.
Milwaukee police aren't reporting any injuries from the gunfire.
I lived in San Francisco downtown for about 15 years, so I'm pretty used to seeing a lot of stuff, but Milwaukee is a whole different animal, and that was pretty wild to see it that close to home.
Really terrifying. And Kendall, Milwaukee police say they're still looking for.
Now, names are withheld to protect privacy, but the voices are real, and obviously this video had faces in there, one neighbor described walking to like a sound like a heavy object hitting the roof, as they was walking through their home, it sounded like something very heavily hit the roof. And it was, beyond like a ball or a rock, but just the impact and pressure. Then realizing it was a gunfire, another said they grabbed their child and ran into the basement, which wouldn't have been far-fetched. I would have done the same thing if you asked me. I would have done the same thing. Now, a lot of others, they gave their testament and testimony about what happened and what took place. And at the end of the day, I think everybody's stories are similar. If you ask me, their stories are very similar, and it is shocking that this will take place in a area in a block where homeowners are, trying to live, trying to enjoy their lives, that thing. And you got knuckleheads like this right around the neighborhood, coming right in your parking lot, right where your vehicles are parked, and letting off gunfire. You understand what I'm saying? That's different. One person even said they grabbed their child and ran to the basement, counting steps as they went. A homeowner who spoke out confessed they felt like targets, saying they never expected to see people using their own houses as cover for a tactical ambush. These are not isolated anecdotes or anecdotes. They are the immediate human cost of a single right of violence. Listen to the cadence of the quotes. Short clipped sentences that they betray adrenaline and shock. And I don't know if y'all understood that, but I clearly heard that in the voices of these people describing how these shots rang out. I feel like when you read these lines on camera, Slow down and let the weight of each phrase land, right? It echoed through the house. We thought someone was breaking in. I saw a car with holes in it, and I thought that could have been me. Those lines alone are the connective tissue between footage and community. Beyond the fear, beyond that fear, there's a practical fallout. Windows shattered, glass filtered sidewalks, and cars require immediate tow or repair. In fact, a full gun magazine and scattered ammunition was found abandoned right in the resident's driveway. For renters, the emotional cost is often greater than the financial one. A landlord can replace a window, but the sense of safety is harder to restore. For a small business, a night like this can mean lost revenue and, hesitant customers base, but boarded windows and fewer evening patrons are real economic consequences. Community leaders I spoke with say this clip is the latest sign of a deeper problem: late night crowds, disputes that escalates quickly, and a presence of firearms in public spaces. They argue that policing alone will not solve the issue. Prevention programs, youth outreach, and conflict mediation are part of a long game. Still, residents want immediate action, more visible patrols, faster evidence for processing, and clear communication from law enforcement. I mean, if you have footage, here's what helped investigators most: the original file with an accurate timestamp, the camera's model and setting, if known, and a short written and note describing where the camera was located and what direction it faced. Do not post the original file publicly, because sharing it with police, doing so can complicate investigators and spread unverified claims. As we move into the forensic analysis, keep these human stories in mind. All these stories, they are the reason this footage matters beyond clicks and views. This is about people who live here, who sleep here, and now must reckon with a new level of vulnerability. You feel me? My bad, y'all. I ain't mean to scare y'all. Right away, what you can tell this video shows us is first trajectory analysis, right? We see clearly where the bullets went in, where they, exited the structures. Analysis can estimate shooter positions and likely lines of fire. In the frames we just showed, you can see impact points on side and glass that should suggest shots came from a direction slightly south of the camera. That does not prove everything though, right? But it does give detectives a starting point. Second, shot grouping. If impacts cluster in a narrow area, that can indicate a single shooter or a stationary firing position. If impacts are spread across multiple angles, multiple shooters may have been involved. In this footage, the pattern confirms the multiple angle chaos. One person is seen opening the fire directly from the sidewalk, while a second shooter continues firing while walking backward down E. Pearson Street. You feel me? Third, shell casing and physical evidence. Casing found on the scene can be marked and matched to a firearm if one is recovered. Fragments and bullets jackets that can be analyzed for caliber and rifling marks. The forensic work takes time and lab resources, which is why detectives emphasizes on patience and careful evidence handling, right? Okay, police response protocols typically include securing the scene, canvassing for witnesses, collecting surveillance footage, and issuing public appeals for tips. Detectives will also check nearby cameras, doorbell cams, business surveillance cams, and traffic cameras to build a timeline. If you have footage, if you do, I'm asking you again, investigators prefer the original file because it preserves frame rate and timestamp metadata. A cautionary note about earlier footage: angles and lighting can mislead though. Reflections, lens distortion, and compression artifacts can create illusions of movement or hide critical details. So that is why corroboration matters. Investigators cross-reference the video themselves with physical evidence and witness statements to build a reliable narrative. So at this point, police have asked for tips and for anyone with footage to come forward. If you do, provide the original file, like I said before, a short description of where the camera was located at, a short description of any context you remember. Your cooperation can accelerate the investigation and help prevent another night like this. For real, because I think these people are tired of having nights like this. You would be too if you're a homeowner and you live on the east side in a nice area with a nice view. You feel me? And you just want to live, enjoy your life. You would be too, right? So if you have that information, then get it to these people, right? I also believe that, and this is just my belief. I believe that this incident did not happen in isolation. Over the past several months, residents on the east side have reported a rise in late night disturbance and several shootouts across nearby blocks. For many, this clip is the latest sign of a pattern: increased foot traffic at night, disputes that escalate quickly, and the presence of firearms in public places. Community leaders point to the overlapping causes, right? First, economic and social stressors that increases tension in our hood, right? Second, the concentration of nightlife and late night businesses that bring large crowds into the close quarters. Third, the availability of firearms that can turn arguments into daily encounters, I swear, like every time. These factors do not excuse violence, but they help explain why incidents can flare up. I'm talking about fast. You understand what I'm saying? And so, when you think about it, and you think about all the violence that's flaring up and that's taking place out here, gang, you can't do nothing but notice how all the violence seems to take place around these bars, these businesses that's up late at night. You understand what I'm saying? Kids that want to be out there late at night, it's a lot of things, that you can say is taking place for this, and I think a lot of times that, some people, they want to dodge that fact, they want to dodge that factor, but it is what it is. This video itself here is one of those videos I was talking about, right? And upon this video and watching this video here, you will understand that these factors do, be some of the main reasons, but they don't excuse violence. No, local organizers emphasizes that policing alone is not long-term solution. They advocate for three-part approach, right? Enforcement to address immediate threats, prevention through youth programs, and conflict mediation, and community investment in lighting, cameras, and safe public spaces, which, is all understandable. But I just want to let y'all watch this video, and then we're gonna dive a little more. We're gonna dive just a little bit more.
Milwaukee police released a video in last week's deadly shootout involving an off-duty officer. The officer shot and killed 26-year-old Elijah Wilkes. An attorney representing Wilkes' family called the shooting justified, saying Wilkes hit the officer with a gun after a traffic crash at 49th and Mill Road. 12 News' James Stratton is reporting from the newsroom tonight with that new video. And James, we do warn our viewers the video is disturbing to watch.
A good warning, Deanna, before we show that video. It shows the entire exchange between Wilkes and the officer near 49th and Mill Road in Milwaukee on Thursday. Dash camera video first shows the officer's trucks and Wilkes' cars collide while Wilkes was trying to merge into one lane on Mill Road Thursday morning. The pair then pull over, get out, and exchange words. And then Wilkes, video shows, pulls a gun and hits the officer in the face before a shootout.
I'm in lane.
We stopped the video after Wilkes emerges in view of the camera from the front of the car, and more gunfire is then heard. The Wilkes family calls the shooting justified. Now balloons and photos now sit where Elijah Wilkes died on Mill Road. The family called for the release of the dash camera video after grainy surveillance video was released on social media over the weekend.
So what this family has done is make a difficult decision while they're grieving to put aside their privacy interests.
As we can all see, that situation ended horribly, which it should not. I think it should have ended in a way, in a shape, in a fashion that could have been more negotiable, could have been more, on the brighter side of that, that scenario. Beyond forensics and policy are the people who must live with the aftermath, though. A homeowner whose house was struck described the first morning after. They sat on a couch and counted the holes. A parent told me their child now wakes at the slightest noise, Remarkable, and remarkably, Milwaukee police are not reporting any injuries from this gunfire, but the psychological toll is severe. Now, in this video I just showed you guys, yeah, of course, we see an injury that totally took place in this gunfire, which is sad. And it's sad. At the end of the day, I hope everybody understand the message and take the lesson with the message, whether bad but for good, to understand that, everybody got life to live, and we all got to live it in a certain way that's respectable of ourselves, and not so much as others, because once you respect yourself first, you will automatically gain this surrounding spheric being of respect for others. And at the end of the day, shall you not suffer, from harm that's done from the thoughts or the actions of yourself, but shall you forever prosper into goodness and greatness and desire realities that you forever wanted. Let these videos just be, a little bit of insight to what not to do, how to stay on top of your game for yourself, how not to play yourself out of your position. Sometimes some of you guys be in one of the greatest positions or one of the greatest realms that you can ever be in. You might be winning financially, you might get everything you want, everything you ever deserved, and a thought or a negative moment or a negative event can arise or arouse itself in your life, and just that fast, within 20 seconds to 90 seconds, you can lose it all, right? Don't let that very moment, at that second, at that very millisecond, dictate your future. If you like the video and you resonate with that, or somebody that resonates with it, or you can relate to it, or even if you've seen a situation or have witnessed a scenario that has been closely relatable to this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video to all your social media platforms, to everybody that it can resonate with. And I love y'all, man. Y'all make sure y'all take care, stay safe, stay out the way. I thank you for your time, because you could have been anywhere, but instead you choose to come here and watch this video. Appreciate you. I'm out.